Hi, today I have a really exciting tutorial for you guys. I'm going to show you how you can create your very own animated overlay from your static overlay. I'm also going to show you how you can animate UI elements within Touchpix. So how you can create animated buttons, how you can create your very own animated attract screen. Let's go. So here is a very quick video summary of this tutorial. So I'm using a tool called Jitter.video. I import a PNG file, I animate it, and then I export that as a Lottie file. That Lottie file can be used within Touchpix in the app branding section. Then I'm creating my very own attract screen here. I import my own logo. I animate the logo. And then next up, I'm going to import a PNG file with some snow particles. I'm going to animate that top to bottom. I export that as a Lottie as well, and you can import that as an attract screen within Touchpix with transparency. Pretty cool. Okay, let's create our very own animated overlay. So I import a PNG file within Jitter.video. I export that as an MOV with transparency, and then I convert that on my Mac desktop to be an HEVC file. So I make sure that I have a small file. I can import that into Touchpix as an overlay alpha file. And then you have your animated overlay. Pretty cool. All right, if you want to know more details, keep watching. So I already activated an event and I'm going to manage it from this laptop, and you will see the changes reflected on this iPad. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can activate a UI theme that will already contain animated elements. This will make your life easier. So I'm going to scroll down in the settings to app branding, and let me scroll down a little bit more, and then you will see app themes. So what you can do here is you can select one of many animated themes that we have created for you that you can activate. So let me activate a Christmas theme. So that is the Christmas theme. You will see it reflected on my side. I'm also gonna do that with the countdown and the thank you screen. So then they will all contain a Christmas theme. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to remove some of the functions because I only want to use the slow motion function today, and we're going to customize that button. So let's disable some video functions. So I'm going to disable video, animated GIF, boomerang, and in the photo functions, I'm going to disable photo. There we go. So now we have only one icon left, and we're going to customize that icon. So I'm going to use a tool called Jitter for that. So let's go to Jitter now. Jitter is an online tool that you can use to easily animate content. So you don't have to learn Adobe After Effects, for example, which is much more complicated to learn. Really easy. You have to create an account and you're good to go. So I'm going to create a new file. And because this is going to be a button, it needs to be square. I'm going to use 480 pixels by 480 pixels. Here you go. We have a square file. Let's disable fill because I want it to be transparent. I'm going to also name this file Christmas slow-mo button. There you go. Now let's add some content here. So I'm going to click on this picture adding icon. I'm going to double click on this folder and I'm going to search for the PNG file. You might not have this PNG file, but you can create your own. All right. Slow-mo. There we have it. Okay. Click on open it. So there it is. And now you can easily resize the image. You can see the position, the size here. What I want to do is I want to animate it. And what I want to do is I want to create a wiggle where it goes to the right and then comes back to the left. And then stay put for a while, and then it does that again. So it's going to repeat that animation over and over again. So you have to make sure that if you animate something, it goes back to the original position to make sure it doesn't look jumpy. So when I have the layer selected, I go to animate, I click on new animation, and you can already choose from a number of pre-made animations here, which are really nice. However, like I said earlier, you want it to come back to the original state. So I'm going to go to custom, and I'm going to add a rotation animation to it. So by default, it does 0 degrees to 45 degrees. You can see here, the initial value is 0, and it goes to 45 degrees. So I want to change that because I also only want it to wiggle a little bit. So I will animate it to a 20 degrees angle. I see it's still being cut off a little bit. So I'm going to make it a tiny bit smaller, as you can see. Yeah, that will do. So then it stays within the square, which is what I want. However, I want it to start off by doing nothing for a little while and then wiggle. So I'm going to drag the animation, the rotation, and the scaling to the right. So when I play it now, it stays put for a while and then it goes to the right. Awesome. There is one thing though, we need to make sure that it goes back to the original position. So we're going to add another animation for that. So I'm going to click on new animation, custom, rotate, because I want to rotate it back. So there is a strange thing happening here, because usually what I would expect if it goes from 0 to 20 degrees, that you can continue from 20 and go back to 0. However, Jitter works like this, that it takes the last position the object is in, and that is going to be the 0 degrees position. So what I want to do now, if I want to make sure that it goes back to the original position, I need to set it to 0 degrees starting position. And I know this is a little strange, but that's just how it works. So I'm going to go to -20 here. So then it subtracts 20 degrees from that, and it goes back to the original position. All right. As you can see, the animation now is happening. It's happening in an area that is outside the animatable area, or where it shows the end result. You can drag that out to have a longer file, but let me keep it to about 4.5 seconds. That's fine. So there is one but. Now it goes back and forth, which is great. However, it's also smaller since I resized it. So there is one scaling animation in here, and you can see it went back to 92.18. So we need to make sure that it goes back to the 100% state. So let me add an animation, custom, a scaling animation. And so now I want it to go from 92.18 to 100%. And you can see it added that animation. We want to align it with the second animation. And perfect. Now you can see it comes back to 100%. And that is exactly what we wanted to. So let's play the whole animation. Wiggles from left to right. And that's it. We can make the whole file a little bit shorter. So let's do like about 3.5 seconds. And now we're ready to export it and import it into Touchpix. So the way I do that is I click on export and I click on Lottie. There you go. Make sure you have the same export settings as I do. So select Lottie here. And the image size should be the original. Perfect. Now you download the file. I'm going to download it to the desktop. I'm going to save it. And that's it. Let's go back to our Touchpix event. Now I scroll down to app branding. And we're going to scroll down until the buttons section. So here is the place where you can actually change the buttons. So I'm going to click on the slow-mo part, and I'm going to upload this JSON file. I'm going to go to the desktop, Christmas slow-mo button, and open. There you go. There it is. So now you can see it's animating to the side, and it goes back. Wonderful. So you've created your first piece of content. You can find all the files that I use in this video in the description below. So this is great. I want to customize the UI even more. I want to create an attract screen with some snow falling and the Touchpix logo coming up. So let's create another animation. Let's go back to Jitter. I'm gonna go back and create a new file. So let's name this file Christmas attract screen. Perfect. Let's uncheck the fill checkbox to make sure it's transparent on the background. And let's add the correct sizing. So you can look up your iPad type and then screen resolution in Google to find the resolution you need. I already searched for that and I have the sizing here in my notes. So it's 2388 by 1668. So let's do that. I think I did it the other way around. So let's do it like this. Copy this value. This should be the width. And this should be the height. Okay, there we go. That looks like our iPad screen. Perfect. Now let's add our logo. I'm going to go to the picture icon again. And I'm going to add this PNG file. Make sure the file is not too big, so you resize it to less than 1,000 pixels. I'm going to open this Touchpix logo. Perfect. Let's resize it to be a little bit bigger. Perfect. Let's drag up our timeline a little bit. Make sure your layer is selected and then add new animation. And we are going to add a custom animation. And I want it to scale up and after that scale down. So let's add a scale animation by clicking on scale. So you can see it scales up now. And the initial value is 100%. Well, let's make that 0. And let's see how it responds now. So that's going to be a little bit too big. So it goes from 0 to 150%. So let's go for 80. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that might be a little too small. So let's do 110. Yes, this is what I'm looking for. So it pops up out of nothing and then becomes big in the screen. And then I want it to go back to that same size. So let's do that. The initial value is going to be 110%, and then I want it to go to 0. So then it's gone. So now you can see pops up and it goes back. to a very small position. However, I want it to become big from somewhere in the beginning, show the logo for a while, and then become smaller. So I'm going to drag the first animation. I'm going to click here. I'm going to drag the first animation here. So when I play it now, it becomes bigger until here, and it goes back down. Perfect. So the next thing I want to do is make it a little bit more fun. So let's add another animation and click on rotate. So now it rotates from 0 to 45 degrees, like we've seen before with the button. So now I want it to start at an angle and then go to a 0 degrees. So let's start at, let's say, 90 degrees. Oops, I did that wrong. I want to end it at 0 degrees and start it at 90 degrees. So let's see how this works out. Yes, and now we see it fading in. Perfect. So what you can do is you can change the easing, which means that is the path of the animation. So usually it goes in a straight line like this, but you can also make it go faster in the beginning and then go slower. So let's click on the rotate animation and go to easing. And we have a couple of options. So we could do elastic. So you can see it, the path of the animation changes. Let's slow down. Yeah, I like slow down. See how that, when you click on it, you can adjust how extreme this is going to be. But I like this. This is perfect. So now when it goes back, I want it to rotate to the other side. So I'm going to add another animation, rotate. And this is going to start, obviously, at 0 degrees. And now I want it to go to minus 90 degrees. So then it rotates back. So let me play that again. So now it comes in and it goes out to the other side. That looks really cool. Okay, there is one more thing that I want to do because this logo is, it's nice as a track screen, but I find it could be a little more interesting. So let's add another picture of snow. So it's basically a picture with snowflakes, snowflake particles. And I want that to fall down like regular snow. So I'm going to Command minus to zoom out. I'm gonna make it bigger, bigger, bigger. That's perfect. Let's make it even bigger. I want it to start at the top. And then I'm going to add a new animation, a custom animation. Click on move because I want it to go from top to the bottom. So now you can see two dots that you can drag to another side. So the first dot is where it starts and the second dot is where it ends. So I'm going to drag that down. So you can see now here, it starts at the top and it ends there. However, this is only for a short period of time. However, I want to make sure that it's stretched out over the whole animation. So I'm going to drag out this animation from beginning to the end. And let's see. There we go. We have our logo and our snow falling. However, the snow is falling down quick and then it goes down slower. So we have to adjust the easing of this animation. So I'm going to click on this file and I'm going to click on smooth and do no easing. That way it will come down very gradually. That's how we like it. All right, that's perfect. The only thing that I don't like is that the Touchpix logo is behind the snow. So I'm going to drag this layer up so it's on top of the snow. And I think this is it. Yep. Let's export this. Click on export. Click on Lottie. Make sure image size is just the image size original, not 3 times. And now let's see what we created. This is really exciting. So I'm gonna click on download. And this is a Christmas attract screen. That is correct. I'm gonna save that. So let's go to my Touchpix event. And now I wanna scroll down until I see attract screen. So I'm gonna enable my attract screen. And on this side, I'm going to upload my file. Make sure I'm in the desktop. Christmas attract screen. Open it. So it's uploading the file now. It will display after a little while. There we have our animation. That is pretty cool, isn't it? You could even go as far as make the snow ends up at the same place, so then wouldn't be as obvious when it starts and when it ends. You can go very far with this, but I just wanted to show you this basic animation. The great thing about this attract screen is now, if the customer wants to record a slow-mo, they can just tap on the screen, the animation will go away. However, because it's transparent, the customer can already see what's beneath there. So let's move on to the next big thing, which I am really excited about as well. I'm going to show you how you can transform your static overlay, your PNG, into animated content. Keep in mind that this only works for slow-mo, boomerang, video, and animated GIF. The first thing we need to do is to create an actual PNG file with an overlay. I don't have that yet, so I'm going to go to the designer. I first have to decide what the size is going to be of the video that we are going to create. I like a very long video, so I'm going to choose template 1, portrait long, and you can see here is the size of the video. Perfect. Now I go to Manage Design, go to Design Library, and I want to create, obviously, a Christmas overlay. So here we have our Christmas overlays. Let's do this one. It's one I like. Perfect. I like this, but it's a little, I find the object's a little big, so let me make that smaller real quick. There we go. Christmas a little smaller. And these objects smaller as well. All right, I like it. So let's add it to the event. Make sure you have the right event selected and then click on Add to Event. I only want to add it to the slow-mo function. This is just to create the PNG. So if you already have the PNG, you will be able to skip this part. So what I'm going to do to get the PNG now, because I added it to the event, is go to Return to Touchpix. This will take you back to the event manager. And I click on the overlays icon. And let me download this overlay. So let's download this and save this to the desktop. Perfect. So what we have to do now, because if we added a fixed overlay, this is going to be on top of everything. So we need to remove that overlay again, so it doesn't go on top of the animated overlay. So I removed it. Let's go back to the designer. And now I'm going to select this template again, but now an empty template. Because this template, if we add it empty to the event, it's going to determine the size of the video output. So this is going to be in portrait, but I'm going to add it now without an overlay. So make sure you have your right event selected and then click on add to event. Only the slow-mo function will be affected. Awesome. So we have our PNG file now. We've set our video size correctly by adding an empty template. So let's go to Jitter and create our very own overlay, but then animate it. So I'm going to go back and create a new file. So this is where the size of the template is needed. So if you don't remember it, you could go back here. It's 1080 by 1920 pixels. There we go. I'm going to uncheck the fill box and I'm going to load a picture. So you can see we have our PNG overlay here with transparency. I'm going to click on it and click on open. Let's make it a little bigger so it fills out the entire screen. Awesome. Now let's add an animation to it. I'm going to click on animate. New animation. And I like this to be a little subtle. So mask expand. Let's make it a little more like this. So let's see, what is this? So now it comes in, Merry Christmas is visible, but then the rest comes in. I like that. All right, let's drag this out to the back a little bit more. Let's expand the animation so it's a little bit slower. Whoopa. That is, I don't like that I see Mary being cut off. So I'm going to click on the animation and set the initial value to, let's try 50%. Yeah, that's better. So now you don't see anything and you see the overlay appearing. To determine how long the animation is going to be, we need to know how long the end result video is going to be. So what I'm going to do is record a slow motion video and see how long the end result is. So we can see that the end result is 12 seconds long. So then we need to make this file also 12 seconds long. You can do that by clicking on the scene and go to design. And the duration we change to 12 seconds. Perfect. Let's go back to the file. And then animate. And we're back to our timeline. So now we can determine exactly where it shows up. So I want it to show up after a second or so and last till the end. So that's great. All right. And then it will disappear and start over. That's fine. So let's watch the whole animation. There we go. There we have our Merry Christmas and our template. Perfect. Let's go to export. And now we don't need the Lottie. So we need to take a different approach. If you have a pro license, and I recommend getting a subscription to this really useful tool. I don't have a subscription at the moment, so I'm going to choose 720, but otherwise you would go for the 1080 size. I'm going to click on 720 now. And make sure that in the export settings you have MOV selected, transparent. All right, let's download this file and call this Christmas animated overlay. Whoops. And then original. Let's save this. Let's download this. It's going to take a while. And you can see this is quite a big file. This is 323 megabytes. So we need to convert this file to be able to use it. Otherwise, it's going to take ages to process this on top of the slow-mo video. But we have our little trick on our sleeves for that. All right, perfect. It's downloaded. So let's go to our desktop now. Let's close this out. And here we have our MOV file. So if you're on a Mac computer, converting this is really easy. If you're on a Windows computer, I'm going to leave a link to a converter on Touchpix.com for you. So you can upload this file and then get back the smaller version of the file. If you are on a Mac, you can just right mouse click on this file, select encode selected video files, and then from the setting, you choose HEVC 1080. Make sure preserve transparency is checked. You continue. There we go. It's ready. So let's now check the file size. So let's right mouse click on this file, get info. And now you can see it's 10 megabytes. So that's a huge reduction of file size. So let's remove the original file just to make sure we don't get confused. Move to the bin. And now we're left with our animated overlay here, which is great. Okay, let's upload this to Touchpix now. So it comes on top of the video. So let me go to this tab and then return to Touchpix, return to Touchpix. So let me go into this event by clicking on the name. And I go to video effects. So now you're in the video effects screen. Make sure you have the correct function selected before you add any video effect or overlay. So I have slow-mo selected, which is correct. So all the effects that I'm going to add are going to be added to the slow motion function. So let me click on plus add effect. I'm going to scroll down until we see the O from overlay alpha, which is the full length version. Then click on the effect. Click on this part here, click it again, and here we have our overlay file, and I'm going to open it, save the changes. So right now it's uploading the file. All right, so now to make sure that our overlay is in the event, let's go to the menu and tap on refresh event on the iPad. Let's record the slow-mo now. 4, 3, 2, 1. Move, 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 move. Let's go, let's go, let's go. I'm curious if this worked out. And there we have our animated overlay. That is pretty cool, isn't it? So this is now really easy to create. And you have our beautiful thank you screen. So this looks like a whole different experience, right? So make sure to add this to your video. It doesn't add a lot of processing time because the file now is really small. And remember, if you do this on a Windows computer, you can easily convert it with our tool to this smaller file. Make sure to create the original file as an MOV in Jitter, and then you should be good to go. So good luck, and please share if you've created any animations from this video. Please share it with me. You can go and share it in the Facebook group, the Touchpix Facebook group, or share it on our socials. We're really excited to see your results.